All right, welcome everybody. It is Stephanie and Dr. Allie here with Be Real, More Than Skin Deep. Tonight we are actually going to be talking about bees. And so let's be real and be kind. Um, those who do not know, Dr. Allie is a beekeeper and um, she has a nonprofit and educates people on bees, and she has all sorts of cool stuff happening. So tonight I just wanted to kind of talk to her, learn a little bit more, let her share about the bees. So
Yay. Well, it's so funny. So basically, I started a nonprofit. It is called PurrFect Honey, like the kitty cat. So there's a reason for it. Like, can you see? Wait, Hobbs, can you there? This is the reason, right?
I love how he always is sitting next to you. He's like, I'm gonna
Right.
be right here.
He is my buddy. So when I thought about what do I call a nonprofit, and everybody was like, "Gosh, I love your honey. It's so perfect. It just is so good. It's so perfect." And I'm like, "What do I call it?" And Hobbs was like, "Duh." So it's literally it's just called, so this is him on the label. So you see it's perfect. So it's perfect honey. And so
Mhm.
long story short, I became a beekeeper by accident. So I am here to share a little bit about bees and what is our mission. So I have a regular job, right? So my regular job is I work at a chiropractic office. I do something completely different. I'm all about health and wellness from the inside out. So we do like shockwave therapy, red light therapy. I'm all about supplementation, diet, and all of that, right? So that's my day job. But my afternoon fun job is my little 501(c), and this is our mission. So when I didn't know what our mission was, I literally, have you ever scribbled stuff down on a piece of paper and you're like, I don't know. What is my shopping list? What am I supposed to do? So one day I scribbled down, I'm like, if I were to have a nonprofit, what's my mission going to be? And I still have this and I have it taped and it's inside the cupboard. So whenever I have kind of a challenging day and I'm like, why do I do this bee stuff? And I'm like, right, this is my mission. And so do you ever keep little notes? Do you ever keep
All the
little
time.
treasures?
All the
Right.
time.
So I love this. It's literally on like a little, nothing piece of paper with tape. Okay, so, and this is our mission, to help promote the health of honeybees, critical to our food and ecosystems through conservation, education, and research.
Nice.
So, how I do this is a couple of things. So, conservation, so we have to have our pollinators. If we lose our pollinators, we're stuck with soy, wheat, and corn. That's it. So we need, I mean, this is for the honeybees, right? So this
Mhm.
is critical to our conservation. We have to save the bees.
Yeah.
Education, how I do it is giving little field trips. The kids come over to my house from 5-year-olds to 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. Also, adults come over, and it's through education, not to be afraid of the bees. Be a beekeeper where you live, and why
Mhm.
a lot of people are afraid, in terms of the world, like the bee movie. Don't hate me if you love the bee movie, filled with
Yeah.
lies.
Mhm.
Education, how to buy real honey and pollen and all that good stuff, how to tell it's fake, and then research. So I donate a percentage to all sales to UC Davis in
Oh, cool.
California, and they
Yeah.
are the big producers of. They're doing so much good stuff for the honeybees. So I like to
Mhm.
fund and grant and all of that. So we're a little
Nice.
501(c), and so let's talk bees. I want to talk some fun stuff. So what kind of questions do you have about bees?
So actually, one of the things that you mentioned before was how do you tell that your honey is real? That's a big one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, so that's actually on, like, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah. Yeah, kind
How do
of.
you
There you
know
go.
your honey is real? Like, can you see that?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So unfortunately, so it depends on the state you live and where you live in the world. So in California, we're a very hippy dippy strict state.
Mhm.
70% of our honey can be corn syrup, and they do not have to tell you. In other
Yep.
states, it's 80%. This is true with a lot of like supplements, like if you take supplementation, whatever your supplement
Right.
is, 80% of these goodies can be not even in there, and a lot of synthetics sneak in there. So, long
Yep.
story short, it's not a pleasant story. You
Yep.
have to know the beekeeper. So, if someone's like, but I got this at this big box store, or it's really cheap, or I don't want to spend the money. So, I like to compare this to, that little Hershey's Kiss, that little chocolate? And that's like saying, I'm used to honey. That's the Hershey's Kiss. This is the crap. This is not real.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so during my bee tour, people stick their fingers in the honeycomb with bees everywhere and they
Mhm.
taste it and they're like, that's honey? And they taste it again and they're like, and then they do this weird, like you can see the wheels going in their head.
Yeah.
It's like comparing a Hershey's Kiss to Godiva or Ghirardelli or a
Right.
rich French chocolate. And they still are called chocolate.
Right.
So people are like, but I'm still, I got that little honey bear. I got it at the store, just honestly, I know you have it in your house. Don't hate me. I know you
Mhm.
have it. Everyone does, the plastic. Just treat it like brown sugar because it's literally probably 80% corn syrup.
Yep.
Now, you're also going to go on YouTube and you're like, well, how do I tell my honey is real? The thing is, you turn it upside down, there's a bubble, there's
Mhm.
crystallization, or there's all these little things on YouTube.
Mhm.
The thing is it's all not the only real way you can tell it's real because even fakes have gotten so good where you'll see a bubble, you'll see crystallization, it's colored. Like the fakes have gotten so good. Same as dealing
Wow.
with, by the way, with maple syrup and vanilla extract where chefs can't
Right.
even tell. So
Wow.
it's like don't trust YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube. I love you, YouTube. Don't sue me. However, you can't tell it's real. The only way you can, you take a tablespoon, you submit it to a lab, it's about $25, $30, and they test where the pollen's from. This is pollen. So they see if that pollen is from your area. So what's
Mm.
happening is, like, for instance, there's a documentary called Honeygate. If you're
Mhm.
interested in food fraud at all, check out Honeygate. um, Basically, other countries have been banned to sell honey to America, for instance. So
Wow.
their workaround is they send it to another friendly country, and that friendly country sells it to
Oh
us.
my God.
And there's no regulation on this. So they're also cutting it down because it's cheap,
Mhm.
right? They want
Yep.
to make money. This is all about
Yep.
honey money. This is all about
Just like
money.
the essential
It
oils.
is so dirty. There's a
It
dirty
is.
business. So long story
Mhm.
short, for instance, this is honey. A lot of people
Yeah.
are like, well, how can honey be so many different colors?
Yeah.
Are you curious about this? Do you know
Of
why?
course. The seasons and what the pollen's from and things like that. Cause like that whitish colored one is like, you don't see that around here, I don't think at all,
You
because it's,
don't.
I don't know what it's from, but it's not what we get around here.
You guys get more of a
Yeah, we get the
blonde,
like we get the amber and then we get the dark
like a
in the
redhead.
fall.
And you get
Yeah.
that beautiful dark.
Yeah.
So it's like this would be considered clover honey. So
That's what I was
clover
thinking.
honey.
Clover.
So because I live in the city, we forgot to introduce ourselves. Where are we from? I'm from California. I'm on this is East Coast, West Coast, right?
Yeah.
So Stephanie, where are you from?
I'm from Worcester, Massachusetts, so Boston area. And yeah. And my dad's a
Home of the
beekeeper
smiley
too,
face.
so I kind of know some things, but
Hmm.
I
So
love
you,
hearing you talk more about it because it's
oh
just you can
gosh.
always learn more.
You can always but out here in California. So I am in Silicon Valley, but I live
Mhm.
about a half a mile away from, I call it the Creek Trail. So there's water along the way, and there's wildflowers. There's
Mhm.
little creek. There's little fresh. There's turtles and ducks and Canadian geese have taken over. Lots of flowering.
Clover.
Wildflowers. And
Mhm.
so in springtime, we get higher sugar content, and it's a
Mhm.
very blossomy. I call it the Marilyn Monroe blonde. It's very
Mhm.
white blonde, and it doesn't last for very long. And then
Yeah.
as summertime goes, so this was harvested just 2 weeks ago, so you can
Mhm.
kind of see the color. Have like a little bit of light behind it. Oh gosh, did you see that color?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What? I can't do it. It's like a red, right? Kind of
Yeah.
an orangey
Yep.
red. Can you see that
Yep.
color?
Yep. That's kind of
Um,
like our typical spring honey up here.
isn't that
Yeah.
pretty?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going crazy with this. So the pollen and the nectar from the flowers. So you don't, so this is more from the flowers on the ground, the
Mm-hmm.
clovers, if you will, lower down. And then as the spring and summer come, it gets darker and darker because you think of the trees, the darker color
Mm-hmm.
from the pollen of the trees, that's why it gets darker.
Nice. Cool.
So
And
good.
then shoot, I had a question
Oh,
and
this
it
is pollen. This is pollen. I
yes.
forgot that we're talking about pollen.
And
So
there's
I'm
people
going to
sometimes
show you.
eat the pollen, right?
You do. So I actually do. So this is pollen, and I'm going to show it to
Mm-hmm.
you. So it's literally the bees carry this on their little legs. Let me see.
Yes,
Can you
I
see?
love
It's
when
like
I
little
see a
pom
bee
poms.
that's covered in the little bits of yellow goldenness.
It's just, and you just literally you have it in your palm, and you just eat it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all you
Yep.
do, and you chew it. And so these little pom poms. It's hard to show on the camera.
Yeah.
Can you see it's just like a little
Yep.
grain of sand? So
Yep.
that is literally, they carry a third of their body weight when they come in.
Yeah.
So those little bees are, I'm trying to see, this is just
Yeah.
tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So they smash it into their legs. So it's pollen buckets. So each leg, so they're carrying a third of their body weight and they fly about a 3 to 5 mile radius and they
Mm-hmm.
come on home. And the pollen is the protein for the babies.
Yep.
And so, what I also suggest is you have to get pollen from an ethically sourced beekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by that? So, pollen, same thing with honey. So, if you don't know the beekeeper, how do you know it's real? You also want to ask your beekeeper at the farmer's market, do you, and this is kind of a touchy subject, but do you kill your queens every year?
Mm.
And you can ask that in a nicer way, but basically, if they kill the queens every year, they have a new queen every year. Another way to say it is maybe, do you add a new queen to the hive every year? Because
Mm-hmm.
a new queen, she will mate and she will have more production. So the honey sales will go up. If
Yep.
you have an older queen the following year, like you're like, let's say she's 2 or 3 years, her production, like humans, we don't have as many babies
Yep.
usually. When we get older, we're not as fertile.
Mm-hmm.
So honey producers will kill the queen every year so they have more money.
Mm.
So you might want to ask, how long does a queen bee live? How long
Mm-hmm.
do your queens live? That's like a nice way to ask. I'm like totally eating the pollen. So ethically sourced pollen, what does that mean? So I ethically do not harvest pollen in my own hives because the bees come in. So there's a little entrance. So if you think of it as a house, it's a little house, and the porch,
Mm-hmm.
the front porch, they don't have a rocking chair, but they should. Their little entry. So here you add something called a pollen catcher, and it's another entry temporarily you put on, very not for a very long time at all. And the bees
Mm-hmm.
scoot in and they're carrying that pollen on each leg, and
Mm-hmm.
they go in and the pollen drops down underneath into this
Mm-hmm.
tray.
Yep.
Sometimes their legs get ripped off.
Ooh.
And you don't know about that, right? We don't talk about this sort of stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not good. So there are certain beekeepers, like for me, for instance, in the Bay Area, there is a
Mm-hmm.
Russian community of beekeepers that have this trade secret in the Russian community. I get my pollen from them because it
Yep.
does not kill any bee.
Mm. Cool. Okay.
If you do have pollen, real quickly about pollen, if you buy it at the store, it's usually in the refrigerator section and it lasts 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
This is something they
Mm-hmm.
also don't tell you. It needs to be frozen. Treat it like
Okay.
ice cream.
Okay.
And it never, ever goes bad. It
Okay.
will change in color. You know how when you slice an apple and an oxidation happens and it's kind of this different color, but the apple still is delicious. It just doesn't look pretty. Same thing happens with the pollen.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not bad. You have to keep it in the freezer though. You have to
Right.
keep, and then when you first start taking pollen, just a couple of grains at a time, and then you work your way up. And then if you are allergic to this area, like right where you live right now, Stephanie, if you're just terribly like miserable, a lot of people are like, I'll just do my local honey and that'll help with
Mm-hmm.
allergies. This is partially true. Yes, it does. But if you're really suffering, you need pollen from your
Okay.
local area. And
Right.
last but not least, if it says local, legally,
Mhm.
local could mean United States. So when
Wow.
I go to Whole Foods, I love Whole Foods. Don't hate me if you love Whole Foods. I love Whole Foods. It says local. I think it's from Wisconsin. So that might be closer to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
just
crazy. And
little
then
fun
is there
things.
other health benefits other than like helping with allergies, or is the
Oh
pollen,
yeah.
because isn't
Yeah,
it
so
high in like B complexes, right? B
yeah,
vitamins?
this is exactly right. It's really, really good. Think of it as a protein source.
Mm-hmm.
So some call, where is it? Is it the Aborigine? Who are the ones that eat this like as their main protein source? I think they eat up to a quarter cup a day. I don't know how they
Wow.
ethically source it. I don't know where they get it. Fun fact, random fun fact. I was teaching a class recently. We're talking about pollen. A student said, how do you catch the pollen?" And
Right.
they had seen this documentary about bees, and they used to burn cow poo in terms of, this was before a smoker, and they would literally
Mm-hmm.
smoke the bees away. And I guess that's a way to get them to go away with the cow poo. I don't know,
Yeah,
it,
probably.
but we
Well,
don't.
because probably like the smoking thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but
Mhm.
maybe, but the smoking thing doesn't make the bees go away. That
Yeah,
it
it just
makes the
makes them like
bees, it makes them
chill
eat
out.
the honey,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't, the smoke itself doesn't relax them. What they do is they eat too much honey because they
Mm-hmm.
think they have to fly away and build a new house. So they're
Mm-hmm.
gobbling up honey, and then they get like a sugar high, and then the sugar crash, and then they get kind of dopey and
Then
sleepy.
they're like,
I'm like,
woo!
take my pollen. I don't care. I don't know, you know. But yeah. So you need, the pollen is from a separate area.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Interesting.
it is.
Um, what is your favorite thing about educating people on the bees?
My favorite thing is seeing the bees in their world. So to show somebody bees for the very first time, especially if they're really afraid and they have this like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And then they put the veils on, and then they're holding the bees with their bare hands, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Like they're looking at the bees,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of like, they're look then one of the most common things they say is, "They don't care about us." They're like holding the bees, they're like, "They don't care about, they don't even notice we're here." And I'm like, "Right?"
Exactly, exactly. I know. Well, it's
Oh,
funny because, like, at my house, my husband was stung by like a gazillion wasps once when he was a kid,
oh, they're
and
the worst.
so he, or yellow jackets or wasp, I don't know, but he's afraid of
Yeah.
all of the things that are similar to bees. But if it's like a honeybee
Mhm.
or a bumblebee or whatever,
Yeah.
he at least knows he shouldn't really be afraid, but
He's
it's
lo
still,
it's
he can't help but get
it's
nervous.
triggering. It's,
Right.
yeah, so
And so
I
I'm always like, just take a
yeah.
deep breath and relax. Like, I'm the person who's out there like talking to the bees that are flying around my
Yeah.
lavender and my echinacea and stuff.
And
And I'm like, hi
thanking
bees. And I'm like taking
them.
their picture because they're so
Yeah.
dang cool. And
Yes.
so, it's so funny because they'll come around me and like land on me, and Joe will freak out and he's like, "Oh, there's a bee on you." And I'm just like, it's
Yee.
cool. Like,
They
I
don't
talked
have,
to him. He's
they
good.
have
It's fine.
they have no reason to stink. So like another thing I like to teach people is like their superpower, if nothing else, to learn anything but today. The secret is two things. Be still, because if you're still, they get kind of bored with you, and you're literally just a chair, like they're tired,
Mhm.
like they're just sitting down.
Yeah.
Now, if a ladybug lands on you, oh, it's lucky. I'm so happy. Look, it's a ladybug. I wonder if it's a girl or a boy. Hello. Bees do the same thing. They're just like being cute. They're just sitting on you. So be still and then be gone. So you go be gone. So you
Mhm.
take your nail. You don't do it this way. You
Yep.
take your nails, because bees can't sting your, they, and so you go be gone. And
Yep.
10 out of 10 times that bee will fall down. So if it's on your arm, you just go be gone with your nail. they fall to the ground because they're tired. They're not going to sting you. There's no
Yeah.
babies. There's no, it's literally, it was so funny. There's somebody, like they saw, I'm like, there's a squirrel on the fence. We get these little cute black squirrels that run around and they're like, oh my gosh, it's this cute little squirrel. I'm forgetting where they're from, but they don't have squirrels where they're from. And the fact it was black was extra special. And they're
Yeah.
like, where's this squirrel? I'm like, do you compare a black cat to a squirrel? They're like, why would I do that? I said, so you wouldn't, right? You wouldn't go and pet a squirrel, but you might pat a kitty, right? They're like, well, I have a cat at home. I'm like, well, this is the difference between like the wasps or the yellow jackets and a honeybee. A honeybee
Hmm.
is your kitty cat. It's your like cute
Hmm.
dog that you want to like say hello to. And the other guy is like the squirrel. It's like you wouldn't approach, right? So,
Yeah.
and the other critters, they can sting and sting and sting and they never
Hmm.
die or they bite.
Exactly. Yes.
Honeybees sting you, they die.
Exactly.
So
So they're
it's
not going to try
like,
to do it. Yeah.
no, and there's no babies to be threatening. So come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and let's see.
Let me drink some water. My
How
Mhm.
I mean, we kind of know, but share a little bit more of how the bees do help us, and the importance of the bees, as to why you want to conserve them and save them. And
Why? Why are they
obviously
important?
they pollinate our crops, but there's
Hmm.
other things, right?
Right. Yeah. So I like to share the bees are as old as the dinosaurs. A lot of people don't know this. They're older than us. So if you think about this, they are as old as the dinosaurs. That's a trip, right? So think of the importance. So honestly, they serve a lot more purpose. So they create honey for us. They help our crops in terms of the agriculture. But what about our cities? What about our small
Hmm.
towns? The big
Hmm.
cities, the little cities, the in-betweens. That's what we're talking about. Like hummingbirds
Right.
and the butterflies and the little finches and the swallows and like everybody is needed, right? Not just the
Hmm.
honeybee.
Yeah.
Um, so what they do is basically without this, the plants aren't able, we have male female plants and they're not
Yeah.
able to reproduce. And so basically we're
Hmm.
stuck with hand pollination and that's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
It is.
Yes. So regardless of any plant that you have in your yard. So, if you have seeds and everything, those seeds have to get to the ground and they have to
Hmm.
create, it's the whole function of everything. And bees also, I mean, it's so funny because there's, depending on the age of the bee, they have different roles. All of the bees are girls that you meet. The
Hmm.
boys hang out, they're born at the hive, the male bee.
Hmm.
And their purpose is they're also really funny. I like to like go in and hold them because they have a nice round butt like J-Lo, and they've got like these, right? Have you seen them? They're nice
Yeah.
round, but they don't have a stinger, and it is a
Yeah.
round butt. So once
Yeah.
once I describe this to anybody, that they're like, they do. So they have a nice round butt, and then they have these like Ray-Ban sunglasses on, like
Yes.
risky business, like they look cool, and they
Yeah.
and they're just big and kind of this fat bee, and
That's
it
so
doesn't
funny.
have any purpose other than mating with the virgin queen about a quarter
Yeah.
mile this way. And
Hmm.
so all the bees that you meet, one of my favorite job is as they age, their jobs change. And one of
Hmm.
my favorite jobs that I love is it's called the undertaker bee. And the purpose of the undertaker bee is if a bee is born with maybe out a wing or a bee is sick or dying
Hmm.
inside the hive, a boy or a girl, the undertaker bee, can you imagine carrying like your husband like over your shoulder and then moving through like a crazy crowded
Honey.
area and then
Yeah.
flying, which is us running, and then burying the bee in a mass grave of other bee bodies.
No.
I don't know about you, but I can't even carry somebody. I mean, I can't even lift my own body weight.
Right.
So
And these bees are
the,
just like, yeah, I got it.
and so like when you look at the ground and you're like, are those two bees fighting? Well, no. Chances are it's the Undertaker bee taking another bee that died or is going to die, and they're taking it to a mass, a grave, so the bees can decompose into the soil.
Wow. They're brilliant.
So they're really, really, really smart. Now, if they do look like they're fighting with another bee, they might be fighting with maybe a wasp or yellow jacket, because
Yeah.
the meat liver bees will be there because they like the dead, and they
Hmm.
might be kind of ticked off, like, I don't want you in my apiary, my bee garden, you know.
Yep.
But that's my favorite role.
Yeah.
The title, and it's like it's a good title, The Undertaker,
The
but it's a
Undertaker.
pretty important. It's like a very servant job, and then they
It
bury
is.
them and just in a grave, and then they go back home and they
Yep.
search for other things. And the purpose of this is just to keep the hive, the home, clean for all the
Hmm.
babies.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um, Now, did you, because I feel like you, didn't you capture a swarm? Like,
Hmm.
you've done that a couple times now, right?
Yeah. Couple times. Yeah. So
What
I
is
catch
that
swarm in
like?
my own backyard. I call them
Yeah.
freebies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who doesn't love that?
Because so I'm like the SPCA. So if you adopt a cat or a dog, where you go, you might go to a shelter and adopt them, or you might go to a breeder and adopt them. I'm all about the shelter, so I go and get a animal, more life. So I adopt. They're called feral bees, but
Hmm.
basically a beekeeper or bees in nature, they will naturally swarm. It's actually a really positive thing. It means the
Hmm.
family is really healthy and strong. Their population grew. It's really, really
Right.
good.
Right.
And then they split, and they leave a future queen to be born back home, and then the swarm takes the queen, which is, she's not the best flyer,
Yep.
she's just not the best eyesight,
You kind of
and
guide her.
they guide her and they try to get her somewhere. It's kind of like, I don't know, somebody had a little bit too much wine and you're like, come on this way, you know. She's a little bit wearing high heels and shouldn't be, you know. Okay, come on, we're going this way. And so they stop, right? You know what it's like, they're both
Mhm.
on, like, come on, we got you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she lands like 25 yards, and then they take a break, and then they fly another bit and they take a break, because she's a pain in the butt to get anywhere, right?
Right. Because she's a queen.
Because she's a queen, you know, she's had a little bit too much wine and she's wearing high heels and the dress doesn't fit. And you're like, we're getting to the car and you're not throwing up in my car. We're getting you
And
home,
then she's
right?
like, "Wait, I'm gonna go over
She's like,
here."
look at over there.
Yeah,
He's cute. And then she's gone. You're like, why? This is every
exactly.
bachelorette party or 20-year-old something. I'm sorry. I mean,
Yes.
it's, yeah. So
So
she is a queen. They call her a queen for a reason. Yes.
right.
So where was I going with this?
Worms.
Swarms. So this is a swarm. So to catch a swarm, you bait it with lemongrass, like the Thai essential oil,
Ah.
lemongrass, on a Q-tip in a little baggie. It smells too enticing, and then you catch free bees. Or you get a phone call from your neighbor. I got bees in my tree, and you carry over a bucket and a box, like an old Amazon Prime box, and you just like knock them in from the bucket and then onto this tarp, and you put the little thing and you watch them all like single file, like the ants go marching in, to do. It's pretty comical and you get all this praise, but it's really not that hard.
Well, that's so cool. I
It's
mean,
fine. Yeah,
it
because you
is.
got to rescue them, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. That's so
yeah.
cool.
And then you
Awesome.
get them strong and they hopefully
Mhm.
get bigger and they themselves want to swarm. Or I split them and put a new queen in, or I adopt them out to new families. And it's a
Mhm.
good thing. So I do it to help create the population, because bees used to be everywhere and now they aren't. And we
Right.
need little bee protector houses everywhere. You know, it's called an
Right.
apiary, which is
Mhm.
the bee garden. And you don't need a lot of land. A lot of people have all these like, oh, I need a lot of land. I'm like, do you have like a porch swing? Or do you know what a two-seater couch looks like? A small
Right.
love seat. You need
Yeah,
that much space, like on a deck or a
exactly.
rooftop. What do you
Mhm.
think? Could you do it? And,
Yeah.
and if they complain, oh, my neighbors, just if this is the neighbors are complaining, you face the bees towards a wall, and then the bees helicopter and they ignore your neighbors. So there's
Yeah.
really no excuses. I'm just saying.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, there's a lot of places in Boston and whatnot that have started having like, nice restaurants that have started having bees
Oh,
and
good.
gardens on their rooftops and stuff. So it's very
Oh,
cool.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
totally. I
I
love
love
that.
all that stuff.
Oh, and it's such a good marketing thing, and a lot of times
Mhm,
you could just be a beekeeper, or you could be renting. You don't own a
mhm,
house. I mean, maybe you do own, maybe you rent, but if you're
mhm.
like, "I'm not sure," you could totally do it on top of a school, a
Yeah,
temple, a church, a
yeah,
hospital, a restaurant. I mean, all of these places typically really want beekeepers, and then you could look up for a bee guild association, so there's other
yes.
beekeepers in the association. So if you can't take care of them for whatever reason, others will. And then the bees are in that community. And it's also fun when you have other people that are helping because it's
Mhm.
easier in terms of just learning and sharing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
what else? Any other things you wanna share with us about the
Oh, a
bees?
little fun thing, a little thank you for listening to us be real all the way through. I have a little chapstick. This is my favorite chapstick. So, okay, I'm all about debunking, if you will. So, burnt bees, I love burnt bees. I think they're awesome, but a lot of people don't know that burnt bees were sold and they
Mhm,
are owned by Clorox. And I think Clorox
mhm.
was sold, but anyway, it's not a cute little family mom and pop anymore.
Not
The
anymore.
recipe was changed and the money does not go to who you think it goes to. I'm just saying these are just facts. You can do your own research. So I made a do-it-yourself Burpees copycat lip balm, all natural, really nice. I'm not selling
Mhm.
it. I'm sharing the recipe today. So this is really, really nice. You can get little tubs or lip balm thingies. I like the ones that are a little bit fatter.
Yeah,
And so I'm going to share a link in the comments section. Let me do that now. I'm going to put on my nerd glasses. I'm going to put them in so then you guys can go check out the video. And it is a wonderful thing for you to make at home, and the kids can totally make it as well.
yeah.
So I'm trying to go into my comments, leave your comments, show up StreamYard. This is an example. Hello. I'm like technically challenged. Um, why can't I
We can
posted
always
it in
add
our
it later.
I posted it on our chat, but I'm not able to view it live. Okay,
Oh,
well, we will make sure the video is available so you guys can make it. But
yeah.
basically, beeswax is in here, natural ingredients. Peppermint essential oil is wonderful. It feels really good on the lips. And this is
Mhm,
my husband's favorite. And little side note, he's a fireman, and then the fact that he loves these because he like his lips get really dry, and so I'm
mhm.
literally just stealing his tube to show you because
Yeah.
we're almost out and I need to make more. But
Yep.
you can geek out, and I call it peppermint caddy lip balm just because it's fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I love
I don't sell these, but I'm encouraging you to get the all natural ingredients and make the recipe, and it lasts forever, and it's really really good. It's my
yeah.
favorite recipe out of all the honey stuff that I make.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, and, yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing
Yay.
all your bee wisdom and sharing all the,
Bee wisdom.
knowledge and the I know, didn't even mean it, it just came out.
The bee jokes. It's so funny. I have bad bee jokes all the time.
Nice.
I used to end every tour with a bad joke, and I'll end it today with a bad joke. The joke, and I apologize, I don't know who originally shared it, but the joke goes something like this. So if you meet somebody and they have 1,000 bees, you should marry them. Do you know why?
Why?
Because they're a keeper. I, s- it's a bad joke. I didn't say it was a good joke. It's a bad joke.
I mean, it's
She's like, that was really bad. Or it's a
no,
dad
I
joke.
love I love dumb jokes personally. Like dad jokes are the best in my world because otherwise I'm never gonna remember them. And
It's a
that one
bad
was
joke.
good.
But it's a good joke to share. So when you're taking a picture or a video, there's always people like getting the gear and they're holding, and I
Mhm.
take a group photo and they look a little frozen, like models, like frozen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I try to tell different jokes, and I love it because the kids are like, like, oh, that was a horrible joke, and the parents are all laughing. So I take a little live picture. So you always get the perfect picture when you tell that joke because you
Yeah.
get the
You
ones
get
that
the
love it
reactions to
and then the
like,
ones that hate it, and it's a
yeah.
really fun picture.
Like, wow, Dr. Allie's a dork.
Right. The kids are like, "Meh," and then the parents are like, "Ah," and it's really funny. So
That's so
yeah,
fun.
if you want a good picture or a yeah, it doesn't give a bad picture. Let's just say that.
I love it.
Let me say, like, I wanted to share real quickly. Let's say
Oh,
because I have
yes.
like my little facts. I'm trying
Your
to think
fun
of like the
facts.
coolest fact. Oh, okay. So do you know how fast a honeybee can fly? This is fun. I like
How
this one.
fast?
Okay, they fly about 3 to 5 miles, sometimes 6 miles,
Yep.
up to 15 miles an hour.
Dang, bee.
Right? So when you're working
Speed of
out on
little
that
suckers.
bike, come on, pedal as fast as a bee.
Right?
That's
Exactly.
fast.
I'm as fast as a bee.
And they're like this tiny.
I know. That's so crazy. Wow.
Isn't
That
that
is a good
and
fun fact.
they're carrying a third of their body weight and they can fly at 15 miles an hour. How? So we're lazy.
Yes, clearly.
So
Clearly. They're just like
don't
super
drag
strong.
on the bees. Just be like, you're kind of a rock star.
They are. They definitely are. They're like superheroes. They keep
Seriously.
our
Was
food
there
growing. They make the flowers
we
pretty.
so yeah, we talked about that. We would lose a third of our food crops if we lost the
Hmm.
bees. Like we get soy wheat and corn. Oh, here's another fun one. Honeybees visit about 1,000 flowers to make only 1 teaspoon of honey.
Wow.
1,000 flowers to make 1 teaspoon honey. That's so when you're just like pigging out, just like
Right.
that's 1,000 flowers. Just so you know. Another
Hmm.
fun thing I like to say is how much honey does one bee make in her whole life? This is my favorite fact because people
How
like how
much?
much honey do you think one bee makes? Any guess? One bee. So I'll give you a hint. In summertime,
Like
bees live like
5.
6 weeks, and their last
Yep.
job that they do is collect pollen and nectar. What do you think? One
Okay.
bee.
Like at least a couple pounds. I don't know.
So one bee makes 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey.
Oh my God.
One bee makes 1/12 of a teaspoon.
Yes. Yeah.
Her
Actually, yeah.
whole
My math
life.
was way off there because a couple pounds, that's what the whole hive does in a
Yeah.
season.
So no. So one hive. So on average. On average in one of my hives, there's about 100 pounds of honey.
Wow.
Um, let's see what else. La 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 la. My little cheat sheet. I'm sorry, I'm blocking my camera. That's so tacky. Did I forget? Oh, hexagons. Oh, this is another fun one. So the honeycomb.
Yeah.
So everybody knows it's a hexagon shape. So it's literally 2/10 of an inch.
Hmm.
So like I'm sorry, it's 2/100ths of an inch. So that's like thinner than a dime. And it supports 25 times their own weight. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So literally, so honeycomb, it starts as circles. So people are
Hmm.
like, how do they make it? So you know when you blow like bubbles, like
Hmm.
like the little bubbles, and two bubbles kiss, and you
Hmm.
get that flat surface.
Hmm.
So that is how they make the honeycomb. So basically, they make all these circles. So when you
Hmm.
catch a swarm of bees, you see the white, it starts with white honeycomb. You see the circles hanging from the
Yes.
ceiling.
Yeah.
And then they flutter their wings faster than a hummingbird, which is
Yep.
really, really, really fast. It
Hmm.
heats up that wax. So the sides fill in. And they
Hmm.
don't do the honeycomb, it's double sided, but they don't do it like this. They will
Yeah.
stagger
They
it.
do it off. Yeah.
And so then you have so for fun, I harvested, I think it was roughly 92 pounds of honey. It was a
Wow.
lot of honey. And so I had crushed the wax. I melted the wax in a crock pot, which is some other
Hmm.
thing you can do. So the
Yep.
crock pot, you melt it and the wax will float and all the gunk sinks to the bottom and you let it cool.
Hmm.
And you have this bright yellow disc like a frisbee of wax.
Hmm.
So for fun, this was a hive that was I couldn't rescue the honeycomb, And so the bees were rescued, but I couldn't salvage. It was a wild beehive where all the wax I melted. And
Mm-hmm.
so roughly close to 100 pounds of honey was held by only 2.5 pounds of wax.
Wow. That's
Isn't
crazy.
isn't that nuts? That little
It's
frisbee
so
was two and a
crazy.
half pounds. And I'm like, did I weigh my honey wrong? And then, so this is a pound. So I
Yep.
weighed them all and I'm like, no, I weighed it right. So,
That's
I love
nuts.
little fact sheets, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like how my brain works. Anyway, but those are the
Yeah.
geeky things that I have today. So we're going to share that lip balm stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
please make some lip balm. Please share it.
Yeah.
And do get ethically sourced beeswax. Contact a beekeeper. The
Yes.
beeswax that you get online is bleached or colored or cheap. It's not real. They
Mm-hmm.
put synthetics. It's like it says it's a pellet or whatever. Contact a local beekeeper, get some local beeswax, and you're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
the best lips in town. I'm just saying.
For sure. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Alley. And
Thank
this was
you.
super fun. And we will be back next week to have discuss something and be real with you.
And if you have any comments or titles or anything you want us to chat about, we're
Hmm.
pretty open. So let us know. And thanks you guys
Absolutely.
for being real with us.
Thank you.